Okay, so now we have it in here. How do we go from here to here? Now, we talked about the why behind Bible study. We even talked about how to do that. That's the learn it part of the learn it, love it, live it. But now we want to talk about the loving part. We want to talk about how to get it from here into here. And that's a scary word. We call that meditation. Now, I understand there's a lot of weird stuff that comes along with that, but first off, I think we need to tackle this problem by letting me tell you what it is not versus what it is. When we say the word meditation, we get a bunch of very different pictures. I mean, some people picture hippies with their dogs sitting on tree stumps and with crystals and whatnot. Some people think of witchcraft, the seance, and spells. Other people envision yoga and the simple relaxation practices. Still others see this as the guru type of thing, or even the psychedelic pictures, and they have very religious ideas behind what is meditation. Now, it's true that all those are forms of meditation, but that's not what meditation means. All those things have their place, but all of that is really the ideas behind their idea of meditation. It's very weird, and some have very religious practices that follow along with it, and I understand. And to be fair, all those things have their place within their own systems. But let's put this myth to rest right now. That's not what we're talking about, and that's not what meditation means. That's simply what they do. So what is it? Now, meditation comes from the word meditare, and it's Latin, and it's actually two different words. It's the medi and tari. Medi means you're in the middle, and tari means something. There's no one-to-one translation. It's just the idea of something is there, right? So what we did, we dropped the RI off the back and put on the shun part, and it carries the idea of action, of being in the middle of something. And we even use that phrase today. Hold on, I'm in the middle of something, right? So meditation is the act of being in the middle of something, and it's always used in the context of thought. I'm in the middle of thinking. That's what meditation is. That's what meditation is about. It's being lost in thought, being in the middle of your thoughts. And we see this idea in the modern idea of mindfulness. It's all over. We even see the idea in the various world religions, the busyness, the workouts. I mean, even in sports. It is this idea of focus, real, deep, concentrated effort and thought. So what does that idea look like when it comes to the Bible? Well, it's all through the Bible. It's everywhere. And Hebrew, even Greek, came before Latin. So the translators really didn't use Latin in their translations. They tried to stay away from meditation because of the connotations that it brings. In Hebrew, it's actually three different words that are all translated into this one idea. One is Hagah. Next one is Sayak. And the third one is Makashava. Hagah means muttering. Sayak is musing, and Makashava means thoughts. And basically they translate to our English words of saying, thinking, and the other one is easy. It's thoughts. And all three of those words are interchangeably used and translated into the word meditation. So the concept is there. By some counts, over 700 times in just the Old Testament alone. It may not be translated the same way all the time, but we can still see it in the Bible. So how do we start doing this? Well, one, schedule it. Schedule a time. This is deeper. This is more than just your daily Bible reading. This is more than your quiet time in the morning. This is aside from the Bible studies we do at church and the preaching we hear on Sunday. This is time for you to stop and think. What does that look like? A lot of people do it different ways, and we'll get into that in the next step. Number two is asking yourself questions. How does this work? What does it look like? How does this one part here act in relation to the other part here? And all of that is meditation. For me, that looks like going on a hike, getting out away from everybody else in the middle of nowhere so I have time and no distractions to think. And by thinking, I'm learning and making that go from my head to my heart. And that brings us to number three, do something with it. The more you do things with it, the more it is solidified in your heart and the more it becomes who you are. There's an old saying, it's very common, everybody knows it, that the teacher learns more than the student. So when you sit and try to learn something, that's great. When you study something, but then you take it and do something with it. You try to tell somebody else or draw what you've seen, you will find yourself learning more and being more in tune with what you've already known. And there's lots of ways to do that. Some people journal. Some people like to draw. They use art. Some people like to diagram it out. There's the beginning, there's the middle, and the end, and we got to find those parts and see where it works. Other people like to act. They like to get in front of people on a stage and put what they know into practice. Other people, like our pastors and teachers, they teach what they have just studied and learned. That's all part of the process of meditation. So it's a scary thing at first. But when we put it in its right context, we learn that meditation is not scary. It's just about seriously thinking about the Word of God. Now, those things that we talked about before have their place. And some of us even use things like yoga or karate or taking time to sit in the backyard. Maybe your legs are even crossed. And you like to think about things deeply. Listen to the birds. Listen to things happening. That's part of it. So use those tools. Use things that are there and available to you to think about God, His Word, and how it applies to us in our lives. So there you have it. That's Meditation 101. It's real simple, but it's a super complex subject, and that's the joy of it. Easy to learn, a lifetime to master. And that's the loving it part. Learn it, love it, and now we get to live it.